This video will show you how to put together your granite bench. There are a few things that you must keep in mind as you do it. First, it has to be built on a strong, level foundation. Make sure that you have a foundation that is level so that this can be set out square and flat on it. Nextly, you need to have this adhered to your foundation. Where we show you in the video that you need adhesive, make sure that you put a good amount of adhesive on so that it is stuck good. We want it to last over time, and the way to do that is to make sure that it is held together properly with adhesive. And nextly, after the bench is put together and after it is cured for several days, you will need to come in with a good caulking material and caulk all of the joints, because we don't want water to get in the joints. After time, it can freeze and cause problems. So make sure that you have a good caulking around all of the joints on the bench. We are going to be laying it out here on cardboard, but you will be laying it out directly on the pavement. If you do that carefully to begin with, it'll be nice and square and flat. Just make sure that you're on a good flat surface to begin with. Okay, so he's laying this out now at 57 3/8. We'll use a square to get a nice square line coming back. Like I said, we're doing it on cardboard, but you're going to be doing it on your pavement directly. It is very important that your base be level, that we're going to set this on, because if it's not, then things just aren't going to line up right. It's going to be a hassle. So do make sure that your pad that you're going to set this on is good and level and flat. Now you're going to want a blob of adhesive in each of the four areas. So, okay, there, he'll mark you a little spot. And you don't have to go ridiculous with the adhesive, but it's good we do want it glued down properly. And we're going to be sending this cardboard with it, so you'll be able to see what we've done. And if you have any questions, you can actually take the measurements off of the cardboard. Now we have, obviously, you're going to see us, we're going to put this together, so you're going to be able to see exactly how it fits. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mark back from the front of each block exactly 4 1/8 of an inch. And we'll use this measurement later when we're setting the seat. So there's the first one. And the second one. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is set a concrete block and 3 pieces of foam and a small shim that we're going to send with this. We may not send the block, but the blocks are pretty much standard. You can get one at Lowe's or something. Anyway, so here's the next step in putting this together. I'm going to set these out. Set your 3 pieces of foam. Obviously this only works with these pieces of foam, but we're trying to elevate the seat right now to get it set exactly where we want it vertically. Okay, now we're going to center this left to right here, and you're going to see what those marks were, that 4 1/8 that we marked on the base. So we're measuring up from that 4 1/8 mark on the ground with a level. The next thing is we're going to have to center this now. In other words, the bench has to be centered between the two stones so that it winds up where it needs to be before we put the wheels on. Okay, the next thing you're going to need to do is put adhesive, and Jack, if you point there where we want the adhesive. We want those pockets to be probably 3/4 full. Again, we want some in front of and behind that cutout. We're going to do that on each side, a little bit on each side. The other thing you could do is, you know, fill it and then have some acetone and the rags ready, and as you put the wheels on, whatever gushed out, you could easily wipe off and clean with acetone. Yeah, razor blade it if you need to. Even if you got most of it off, you could razor blade it later after it was set even. But the adhesive that you're going to use with this is pretty strong, so it won't be. Yeah. Jack, come into the picture a little more. Okay, right there. We want that whole area there to have adhesive on it. This is actually a very important part. So we're going to set this on here now. Okay, so now we've had our adhesive down. You're going to have another person there ready to lift that up. And Jack, let's take that back off. I want to have them show where to put the adhesive on the inside of that slot. We can do it with the next one. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now we have put marks, little arrows on the masking tape there that you see. And so we want to line that up fore and aft. There's marks here. And we're going to take a level at the back, and we want that wheel to come perfect. The back of the wheel and the back of the base, we want pretty much right above each other, lined up. Okay, I'm going to move the camera over.
And if they start out with a flat surface,
a nice flat surface, this should be easy to achieve. And what we're going for is to have the back of that wheel and the back of that thing in a perfect line right above each other. We're going to do the same thing with the other side.
As long as you point to the other one. Okay. Remember, you want.
Okay, we want to put adhesive here as well. You can see where Jack's doing that with his finger there. We want, again, not enough to just come pouring out, but we do want it to be good and stuck. Now Jeff is going to lift the edge of the bench.
Remember the
adhesive in that pocket, adhesive all around, and adhesive there. We're going to set this on. And that little piece will go down into the pocket.
Up some. Up higher. Okay, well, I gotta go to the front. I'm gonna move toward the back. Slide it a little bit.
Okay, we got it on.
Okay.
All right, at this point, most of the heavy part is done. We've got to make sure our marks are lined up. And the next thing will be now to set the backing. Okay, you can see here at the front of the wheel, whoops, I'm shaky. You can see here at the front of the wheel, in this area, and here we have a little arrow marked. We want to make sure that that is lined up and in nicely so that we don't have a big gap in this area, both front and back. You'll also see that we have a mark here on the wheel and on the base so that these arrows need to line up. And back behind, again, you will see this radius mark. You'll see this radius mark, and that needs to be lined up. It would be a good idea to tape in this area so that any adhesive that comes out, both the front and the back, and we may put that tape in there for you, then clean it before you peel the tape, and that should, then you won't get a big ugly glob of tape in those areas. Again, that's in all 4 spots, both front and back, behind each of the wheels. So in this area, we're going to want to pretty much fill that cavity with adhesive. Again, a little bit behind, a little bit in front, a little bit on the left and the right, and that will be on the 2 sides of the flat part of the bench. On the back, you'll see that there's a little notch hanging down, and that notch right here is what's going to connect to those 2 slots in the base.
I would tell them to put the adhesive, maybe a small amount, right in this, let me make a, where's the marker, let me circle it. And I would say, what are you thinking, like a nickel size?
Yeah, and that's going to be the last thing that slides down in.
Yeah.
So, okay, you can see there where he drew that little circle. We're going to want adhesive in that area as well on both sides. Again, if you tape around the polished area of the stone there before you slip it in, it'll be easy to clean off. Again, have a can of acetone and some rags handy, and you can get that off of there pretty quick and easy. Now that we've put the adhesive, a little blob on each side of that where I showed you there, the next thing will be, and of course we've got the adhesive now on our bench. We're going to pick this up. It's heavy, it's going to take a couple people, and they're going to hold in that gap area, come right up over top, and very carefully, this is brittle stone, so Jeff, you're behind. You're going to come down, you want to come down evenly together, and that thing is going to sit right in like there, like you just saw. Okay, so at that point you can see there's no gaps. The foam is coming out. And one side has a little more tension on it, but on this, on our floor anyway. We can leave the big blocks in. Jack's going to run a strap through here. Obviously this is a temporary strap, and okay, now Jack is going to tighten this down. Now at this point we're not trying to kill it, we're just going to snug it up to where we know that all the gaps are out of it. This is also the time that you'll want to make sure that the wheels are standing vertically on both sides so that it's not off skewed. If you need to make any adjustments or wiggle it at all, this would be the time to do it. And at that point we're going to want to set it there and let it set for 3 days. We want to make sure that this thing is really cured, that the adhesive is really cured before you get people setting on it. And that's how you do it. Go ahead, say what you want to say.
Scrape off any excess.
Okay, yeah.
When
Any,
you squeeze it,
again, the adhesive is going to squeeze out as you do this, and this would be the last chance to remove it easily. If you let it cure too much,
not
it
too tight, just snug.
if you let it cure too much, it's going to be hard to get the adhesive off. Again, that strap, we're not trying to make it real tight. We're just wanting to take up the gaps and let the thing cure. Again, that'll take several days, but that's how easy it is to put your bench in.